Welcome to today's Explainer. We are jumping straight into a deeply unsettling sci-fi thriller by Max and Claude, and it's one that completely forces us to examine the very foundations of human morality. The story is called The Guilt Proxy, and it is a wild ride. Okay, let's dive into this. The entire premise of this world rests on one absolutely chilling thought experiment. What if you could just pay someone to feel your guilt? I mean, seriously, imagine committing a crime, embezzlement, infidelity, or maybe something even worse. And instead of being totally crushed by remorse, losing sleep, agonizing over every choice you made, you simply hire a professional to take on that emotional burden for you. You get to walk away scot-free with a perfectly clear conscience, completely undisturbed by your own actions. Wild, right? To understand how this society even functions, we've got to look at the mechanics of this world building. Because this isn't some metaphor or a weird acting exercise. It's a literal, physical procedure known as the Carlson method. Through neural entrainment and biochemical synchronization, a person's exact emotional state, like the hot, jagged shame of a betrayal or that cold, heavy dread of committing fraud, is literally downloaded from the client into a trained professional known as a proxy. In this economy, conscience has literally become a commodity. It's a service you can just go out and buy 24/7. Which brings us to our protagonist, Lena. She's a highly trained proxy. And that number right there, 847, that is the number of clients whose guilt she has actively absorbed. Let that sink in. 847 times she has felt the absolute worst moments of other people's lives exactly as if they were her own. And she's not just doing this for fun, obviously. She does it because she's incredibly desperate. Her brother, Jamie, has a developmental disability and he requires highly specialized, insanely expensive care at a facility. So Lena takes on the emotional toxic waste of monsters and everyday centers all just to keep Jamie safe and secure. But look, you can't just absorb that much pure darkness without it leaving a mark. Lena is a professional mourner, a modern-day sin-eater, and it is taking a massive, unavoidable psychological toll on her. Her therapist, Dr. Vera, actually warns her that she's experiencing what they call emotional leakage. Her brain is becoming so optimized for feeling other people's guilt that her own personal moral boundaries are starting to blur. She's generating this intense, crushing guilt over tiny, totally meaningless things in her own life. Basically, the very walls of her psyche are degrading. Then, everything changes. We hit the inciting incident of our story. Now, usually Lena handles retrospective guilt, people paying to escape the remorse for things they've already done. But then she meets this highly unusual client named Anna. Anna comes to Lena with a completely unprecedented request. Anticipatory guilt. Yep, you heard that right. She wants to transfer the remorse for a crime she hasn't even committed yet. She essentially wants her conscience cleared in advance so she can go through with the planned action without being paralyzed by her own conscience. Lena's initial reaction is to refuse immediately. I mean, it crosses literally every ethical line imaginable. But then, the company presents the fee, $47,000. It is a massive Category 5 contract. And for Lena, this isn't just money. This is 6 months of care for Jamie. This is the experimental treatment that could actually genuinely improve his quality of life. The financial stakes are so overwhelmingly high here that Lena is essentially backed into a corner, pushed into accepting an absolutely impossible dilemma. The second the transfer begins, Lena is hit with intense ethical paralysis. This is not normal guilt. As Anna's emotional state floods into her, Lena is absolutely crushed by a terrifying emotional weight. She realizes exactly what she has just enabled. She's not just passively carrying guilt anymore. She has actively removed the one psychological barrier that was stopping a woman from committing a devastating act. And as the transfer completes, a terrifying, literal life or death timeline begins to emerge. Through the transferred guilt, Lena sees the exact ticking clock of Anna's plan. 7 months ago, Anna's husband David suffered an anoxic brain injury, tragically leaving him in a vegetative state. At day 0, which is right now, Anna transfers her crushing, anticipatory guilt over to Lena. And then we learn the horrifying truth. In exactly 3 days, Anna plans to visit David during the night nurse's break and administer lethal medication. It is a premeditated mercy killing. And through their connection, Lena feels Anna's agonizing mix of motives. It's this profound love for her husband, mixed with utter, bone-deep exhaustion, and a desperate, arguably selfish desire to just finally be free. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how the story contrasts Anna's incredibly agonizing adult dilemma with the innocent wisdom of Lena's brother, Jamie. When Lena goes to visit Jamie and sort of cryptically describes her situation, Jamie relates it to an old family pet, a dog named Riley who got really sick and had to be put down. Jamie simply says that his mom told him, sometimes love means letting go. To Jamie, the moral rule is just simple and clear, right? You end the suffering of the one you love. It perfectly, innocently mirrors Anna's own justification. But of course, human law doesn't exactly operate like a family dealing with a sick pet. When Lena later confronts Anna about the glaring illegality of what she's about to do, Anna delivers this devastating line. She says, "The law has never been in love." Man, that hits hard. This perfectly highlights the agonizing conflict right at the heart of the story. There is this massive, completely unbridgeable gap between legal boundaries, which coldly state that David's condition doesn't quite meet the threshold to terminate care, and human compassion, which just sees a loved one existing as an empty shell. You think taking away Anna's guilt would give her the clear path she wanted, right? Well, it doesn't. Instead, it leads straight to the story's tragic climax. Without the crushing weight of guilt to anchor her, Anna experiences a sudden, terrifying clarity. She realizes she physically cannot bring herself to murder her husband, but at the same time, she also cannot bear to keep watching him suffer day after day. Untethered from her moral anchor, Anna chooses a devastating third option. She attempts suicide. So the crucial point is this is where Lena's mind finally just shatters. She isn't just holding one stream of emotion anymore. The guilt fragments and literally multiplies inside her, going way beyond her capacity to process it all. Think about it. She's carrying Anna's massive Category 5 anticipatory guilt over the planned euthanasia. On top of that, Lena is generating her own personal guilt for being complicit by taking the contract in the first place. And now she gets hit with fresh, completely agonizing guilt over Anna's suicide attempt. The boundaries between proxy and client just dissolve entirely, leading to Lena's total psychological breakdown. Later, from her hospital bed in the psych ward, Anna sends Lena a message. It simply reads, "Taking away guilt doesn't help. It just makes us capable of anything." And this brilliantly illustrates the philosophical takeaway of the entire thought experiment. We usually view guilt as a burden, don't we? As something to be managed or escaped at all costs. But this story suggests that guilt actually serves a profound purpose. It's the emergency brake on our behavior. It is the crucial anchor that tethers us to our humanity. When you remove it, you don't find freedom, you find a terrifying, limitless capability for destruction. Which leaves us with a deeply uncomfortable mirror to look into. Lena was changed forever by trying to carry the impossible weight of someone else's moral crisis. And Anna nearly destroyed herself when she tried to shed her own. So as we wrap up, I really want you to think about your own life, your own choices, and the burdens you carry every day. If you could pay someone to take away your remorse, if you could literally outsource your conscience, what would you be capable of?